Welcome back to the Daily Dose of Dopamine with Robert Cochran and Sydney Cullen, and an ongoing discussion of an amazing device to help prevent freezing of, or to get you through freezing of gait.
Both,
I
yeah.
would like to slightly shift our conversation, Sydney, to the way that you and I first met, which is your volunteer work. As I understand it, it's volunteer work that you do with the Capital Area Parkinson Society. I think that's amazing. Here you are. You have this company and this huge business, and I mean, not huge business, but building, growing business, and yet there's some part of you that makes you available to run programs and to work as a volunteer. Can you talk about that a little bit? Where that comes from?
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a lot to explain there. I mean, I think it's always been important for me to be able to give back to the community, and I think Parkinson's is something that's really close to my heart. I got really involved in the Parkinson's community with Jack. You know, he started bringing me to his support groups. I started volunteering there. And then when I moved to Austin, got the opportunity to do the same thing and stay connected to the community with CAPS.
So
And
way
so
back, was there any connection before Jack, like a grandfather or a family
no,
member?
it's Jack.
Wow.
And I think that's a lot of where we're at with the work we're trying to do too, is the personalization, the relationship building. And that's really our hope with both Jam for Joy and with the Parkinson's prison, is that these are stories that people have in their lives, right? Whether it is the story of not being able to walk, or the story of being blocked by lack of confidence, or anything else. And by sharing these stories, the people who aren't connected even sometimes can say, wait a minute, there's something I could do to help, and there's a way that I could be involved somehow. And that might be either through a personal relationship, or in the case of this, by the way, I happen to have this engineering background, and there's a lot of research. I'll connect the dots because no one's connecting them. So I
Right.
love the story of your story, and I think it's very much important to think of how many disconnected dots are lying right next to each other out
Mm,
there. And that's what I'd like to further with that. And again, you're a shining example.
thank you. No, I think it's important. I think that there's a lot. I mean, there's so much opportunity out there, right? Especially in our healthcare system. There's so much that can be fixed. There's so much that can be changed. And we're, one step at a time moving in that direction, making sure that people get the care that they need when they need it.
So some of it from a research perspective, I think, having gone through the PhD program and seeing some of the rigidity that exists. I know science likes to protect its process in certain ways, but also it leaves sometimes obvious connections lying on the floor, based on not, you know, just not either not talking, or thinking things can't interconnect, right? I mean, my program was an interdisciplinary health studies program, and
Mm,
yet getting PTs to work with psychologists to understand, maybe what a neuro person might say, was just, I mean, incredibly difficult, the siloing that
mhm.
happens. And I understand, certain people need that, those walls in order to really be focused and narrow in. However, that lack of vision leads to exactly, I think, you walking and going, wait a minute, guys, here and here. Right? Do you see that similarly?
Oh, yeah, and I think people speak different languages. I think it's not so much about not seeing. I mean, I think that that's very true, right? People don't see, they see the lane that they're in, they don't see outside of that. But I think a big part of it is also they just don't speak the same language. They're not able to communicate. There's so much jargon and so much training that goes into this is how you see the world and this is how you talk about the world. In each specific sector, that it makes it really hard to communicate outside of that.
Susan?
You know what's going to make it connect for me are I looked at a handful of the videos on your website, and you see these real people weeping with joy that they have this capacity again. And I think any scientist anywhere is going to be affected by that. And we have that experience, Sydney, what we're working with and toward with Yes and Exercise is quality of life, the improvement of, and that's what you're offering with this device. And what a beautiful thing. So that's the place that I just feel like if people see real, if scientists and governments and funding organizations see real individual human beings having life-changing experiences, maybe they'll wake
Yeah.
up.
And often via connections, and that's it. And that's where, again, we're similarly met. Sydney, I can't thank you enough for the time. And I hope that you get the invitation here. If it hasn't come directly from Susan, I'll make sure it comes from me now to join us, please, at one of our Jam for Joys, where so you can see some of the how the connection works. It's so important in our field too that we've had some medical and wellness experts come and show up, and they're consistently like, oh, because there's what people perceive of what it is on the outside, and then you experience it and communicate in different ways and go, oh wow. And like you mentioned, perspectives shift and new insights are available. Plus, we just have fun. We don't take away from
I
that.
would love to join. I think that would be a blast. Thank you, Robert.
We're going to count on that. Thank you so much for your time this morning. This has been your daily dose. We'll see you soon.